Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's go. Got a good episode coming up, folks. Got a real good one, I think. Most notes I've written in a while. Had our playoff game on Friday. A lot of unexpected things happened. Got a little shit to talk about a lot of people. So let's just get right into it. You know what I'm saying? Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to Living for a Living, episode 88. Got that double 8 piece. Shout out to my guy Colin Charles. Special number.
Living for a living, baby. How you doing?
Yeah. We're getting into it. Rocking the trippin' hoodie today. Got the beanie coming to the website soon. You know, winter's just right around the corner. It's starting to get a little cold up here in Finland, which I've never, for Finnish people living half the year in cold weather below zero, I've never seen so many wusses in regard to the weather being like 5 or 6 degrees. People complain about the weather here. This weekend, it started to get cold. It was a little bit cold at the game, and just I couldn't stand the cold. I had to go home. I had to do this. I don't know. It's really cold. I'm like, dude, you guys live half the year covered in ice. What the fuck? It sounds like I'm talking to Portuguese people. Portuguese people, anytime it gets under 10, they are complaining like it's negative 30, but it makes sense because most of the year is over 20. So, I don't know, that one just came up. But anyway, I got the Trippin' Hoodie beanies coming soon on the website. I know I'm selling it, but I have to admit this sweatshirt is like the best sweatshirt I've ever had. It's got like the double pockets. They're big, good quality. It's eco-friendly, organic, whatever you want to call it, all those things. It's nice. Got the new snapback logo, little 3D puff action, which basically just means it's like an actual logo rather than just stitching. Got that going on. What else? I'm going to have a couple more additions to the store, some tie-dye stuff. Gonna slowly compartmentalize the brand and the line and probably make a little bit less choices available. And yeah, so, you know, check out the website if you haven't already, www.livingforaliving.live. There's going to be some updates in the next week or 2 or 3 probably. But right now, there's still some good stuff on there. There's this sweatshirt. If you don't like the little LSD logo, we got the logo going too. My guy Mario bought that a couple weeks back. He said he hasn't taken it off since. And knowing Mario's dirty ass, I believe it. Yeah. But let's get into, first and foremost, the game this weekend. Playoff game against the Seinäjoki Crocodiles. And we ended up smacking that ass. Final score was 52-14. And I'm happy about it. Like, playoff games are fun. Especially our home crowd is a lot of fun to play in front of. Fans actually get into it. We probably, I don't know what the final population attendance was. 500, 600, 700, 800 people. Which for it being really, really cold was a lot of people. But a little backstory is this game to me was a little extra personal. And it's ironic in a way because if you know and have heard me talk, you know, I was supposed to play in Vasa in 2019 and things didn't really work out. But the Vasa games weren't ever really that personal because the person that I left because of wasn't still there. And so it's not like I disliked anyone on the team at the time of like right now. But the Senioki team, it's not like I dislike anybody there either. Although they play kind of dirty, in my opinion, and we'll get into that. But ever since Vasa didn't work out, I wanted to come back to Finland. And so over this offseason, I messaged 3 or 4 teams out here, the Crocodiles being one of them, saying, hey, I'd be super interested in coming back as QBOC. Last year, the Crocodiles had some British dude playing quarterback who's played receiver most of his career and is a really good receiver, not a very good quarterback. And they have Christian Powell and Robitelli at receiver, but they couldn't get him the ball in the right way. And so I thought to myself, shit, I got the Euro passport. That'd be a great place to go. Their strategy offensively isn't very good either, in my opinion. And so I thought, shit, I could really make some noise there. So I messaged them. They left me on red, although they would look at my Euro players profile multiple times a week. And so everything happens for a reason. And like the next week or 2 weeks after, Pekka here in Kuopio hit me up and said, hey, we want to bring you in. And I said, let's rock. Give me my shot. And, I'm grateful for it all working how it did now because I'm super thankful that I'm here in Kuopio in the situation that I'm in. But it was a little bit personal. I felt like the guy or the girl who got left on red. And so what's that Michael Jordan meme? Like they said something and I took that personally. And so, we kind of beat them twice early in the year, but it wasn't like we really smacked them. I had solid games, but not great games. And so now that it really, really counted, I was like, yo, I really want to ball the fuck out. And statistically throwing the ball, probably not my best game, but easily statistically running the ball, my best game ever. Had like 3 carries or 4 carries or something for 96 yards. Almost ran for $1. A honey bun, which like has never happened in my dreams. It was crazy. I had a 81 yard run. Got hawked at the 4. And dude, I have never ran that far. I mean, even in practice, although at practice like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I was just kind of messing around and I pulled one and like this one corner on our team who's super fucking slow was chasing me. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to slow up and like let him think he's as fast as me, or I'm not going to slow up and let myself think he's as fast as me. Cause if I'm that slow, fuck, there's a problem. And so I went and just like scored from like 90 yards out in practice and was super tired. And I was like, damn, I haven't ran that far in a while. Little did I know that was a precursor for this week as I pulled a read option and I think we were on the 15 or so and took that thing all the way down to the 4 and I was out of breath, boy. And I could just remember like as I get through, I'm just like, oh shit, there's all this open field. Oh my God. And then there's a dude on my right. And I'm like, okay, don't fumble. Hold the ball tight. And so I like got 5 points of contact, good ball carrying, which totally affects my running form. I got my left arm just swinging all crazy. I look fucking retarded a little bit. And I made the one kind of change of direction to get past that dude. And I thought to myself, okay, 10 more yards, 20 more, whatever, 20 more yards. And I thought I had it. And a guy got me at the 4. But that was quite a highlight. I'll probably tell my kids about that one in 20 years from now. But knowing I can do that now, I might try and get a little busy from now on. You feel me? But no, the game was super fun. We kind of had that vibe of the beginning of the season again, where sidelines are lit, offense is cheering defense on, defense is cheering offense on, vice versa. Like, just things are rolling, like talking shit, feeling good. It was nice. And then my other probably favorite play of the game, which shout out to Erika, because he was like, "Oh, you got to talk about that one on the podcast." Is it was like 3rd and 4. This was like first or second quarter. It was 14-7. So we went up 14-0 quick on them, and then they went down and scored, kind of got a little momentum back. Then we're going back 3rd and 4. We run a play or like try and draw them off sides. They don't. We call timeout. Talking to Pekka Erika on the sideline, I say, "Hey, the way 20's playing Jeff, he's opening up. We can run a glance to him. I'll do a little play action fake. I'll hit Jeff for a touchdown." And Pekka's just like, "All right, let's do that." So we call it, and man, might have to call me Babe Ruth from now on, because I called my shot. And exactly how I said, and we line up and we call a run play. And Ant's in the backfield, and Ant's, me and Ant always have like little conversations kind of like before the play. And I forget what he said, something about like, okay, I got to get 4 yards or 5 yards or something. And I was like, "Bro, don't even trip. I'm throwing a touchdown to Jeff right here." And bam, hit it, touchdown. And coming back to the sideline, Ant's just like, "You are a bad motherfucker for that one, bro." And that was a fun one. That's just like the ultimate example of visualization and belief and confidence and all those kind of things that I just knew, I just knew. And so for that one to happen like that, Jeff and I ended up having another touchdown. We could have had a third, but we had a miscommunication on one play, and it felt good to get it going with him again. We'd been a little bit off and on throughout the season, but no, it was just such a fun game. There were like so many different things within the game. After that long run, I mean, as I said, I don't run that long hardly ever. And we got into the second half, and I pulled another play, and like as I pull it, both my calves cramp up, and I'm like, "Oh fuck!" And so I ended up sliding super early, and I'm like just hiding, like they're not fully cramped, but I can feel like they're close, and so I'm trying to hide it, And I go back to the sideline after that drive. And I go to Pekka, I'm like, "Hey, I can't run anymore. Like, my calves are cramping. Like, I can't run." And we had a funny little moment on the sideline. He laughs. He's like, "Okay, we got to change the entire game plan then. If you can't run, we got to do something different." And that was just like a funny moment on the sideline where, it was fun and funny. And getting to have like a good laugh, it's those are the kind of moments that you really remember, I think, down the road. And so that was a fun one. Also, then at a certain point, I think we get up 35-7 or something like that in the fourth quarter. Yeah, or we get up 42-7. I throw a touchdown to Jeff, and again, it's on a run play. I throw like a 20-yard fade to Jeff, and it's 1st and 10. And I like get the cadence going, and I know I'm about to throw this touchdown to Jeff, and I just Ant's back there like, hand it off, I'm gonna score or whatever. And I was just like, "Sorry, Ant," said hut, and throw the fade to Jeff. And so as we get back to the sideline, Ant and I are laughing about it, talking about it. He's telling the story to Keem, and I look at him, I'm like, "Bro, I'm competing for that player of the game with you right now." Because at this point, I think Ant had like around 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. And I'm probably, I don't know what I finished with passing, probably 200, 250-ish, and around 100 rushing. And so I'm like, "Bro, I'm competing with you for that player of the game right now. And he's like, motherfucker, I know. Like, I know, but, and so we get into one set where, okay, we're going to run these sets of plays. And on this set of plays, like there's an option to throw Ant like a little swing. And I was like, all right, bro, I'll throw you that one because I'll get the passing yards. You get the receiving yards. We both get a touchdown. You know, we'll give it to the judges to decide the split decision. And so we're laughing. And then first play, we go out and we just run the ball. Ant breaks it 80 yards for a touchdown. And so as he's like going off the field, I'm yelling, Ant, Ant. And he looks over and I'm just like, man, fuck you. You got, like, I thought he was going to get it. Ant finished the game with 280 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns and didn't get the player of the game. So that's like the first time in history that's probably ever happened in football. And then, man, I kind of almost feel bad about this now. And if you've played with me at all, you know I talk a little bit of shit, especially if the other team does some stuff to start it. I guess I don't really start it a lot of the time, but if a team then starts playing dirty or they start talking shit, I will finish the shit talking. And so they had a couple dudes on their team, number 7, who's just always talking shit. And so, like, once you start it, I'll finish it. And then their D lineman kind of plays a little dirty. Our O-line, we're saying, kind of punching them in the stomach at times and doing little things like that. And so then I forget. Oh, yeah. And then after I slid on the play that my calves cramped up, they all were talking shit to me about that one. Like, oh, you're sliding, you scared, blah, blah, blah. The one, number 44, who fucking was a mismatch, to say the least, was, oh, you're scared of me? And I'm thinking in my head, like, no, motherfucker, I'm cramping. I got to slide or else I'm going to die. And after that one, we got down close to scored a touchdown or something, or maybe just break the huddle the next one. I said, and at this point, they hadn't really rushed for me. They didn't have much rushing yards. I said, hey, I got more rushing yards than your whole fucking team. Shut the fuck up. And I thought that was pretty clever. And then late in the game, we called a screen, and on like 3rd and long, we ended up not getting it, but a guy late hit me, and I get up, and I love getting late hit, especially on 3rd down, give us a free first down. So I'm saying, thank you. And the dude who hit me was fucking fat. And I'm like, thank you, fat ass. You know, like, you haven't done shit all fucking game. It's like, this is your most impact on the game. And then Tim, our O-lineman, kind of like, just to our little group said, you know, like, I hope they got 2 seats for him on the bus. And I stole Tim's joke. And so I yelled it really loud. I was like, hey, make sure you get that fat fuck 2 seats on the bus when you guys go home. And I kind of feel bad about that now. Although I guess as I won the MVP trophy at the end of the game, that dude like was calling me a crackhead or something. So at the same time, fuck him. That's what a weird thing out here, because I had that video about the LSD. Like, people think, I don't know, people are fucking stupid and just don't know what they're talking about. And so I think there were rumors from Vasa that I was like a drug addict or something. It's like, dude, I've never done cocaine. I've never, as I've mentioned many a times on here before, I've smoked a lot of weed in my life. I don't anymore. It's not fucking any fun. It's a waste of money at this point. I do like some mind-altering psychedelics nowadays. I will admit that. That's my more cup of tea. But it's like, it's just funny when people think that kind of stuff. But, oh boy, that was a fun game. Now we got the championship on Sunday against the Roosters. Rematch. We had a hell of a game against them. First time we played them. Went down to the wire. had an interception that was called not an interception. Baffling. Had a phantom offsides on a missed field goal, and then we shut them down at the end on a fade for them to win it. So should be a good game. Definitely should be a good game. I'm looking forward to that. But I just think if we play like we can, we have so much talent and so much chemistry. But it's tough. It's tough to stop. So that'll be on this Sunday. So next episode, we'll be talking about that. And then after the game, went out to dinner. And something I've realized here in Finland, and I guess Europe in general, especially Portugal, Spain, places where tipping isn't part of the culture, the service fucking sucks. It's so bad. And I think it's great on one hand that the servers get to make a good wage regardless of tips and all those kind of things. But oh my God, it was one of the few times I was like, damn, I miss going to restaurants in the States where people care, not because they truly care, at least all the time, but because if they do a good job, you're going to tip them good. And then also they're trying to get you in. We had to wait for like 20 minutes to get our check. But they don't care because it doesn't matter if they do 10 tables in a night or 30 tables in a night. They're going to get paid the same. Where in the States, if you can get an extra 3 or 4 tables in or out, that's an extra $50 in tips for the night. And so that just came up in my mind, and I was like, damn, I don't miss a ton of things about the US anymore. I miss Chipotle because it's some good, cheap, fast food and you don't have to tip. And then I don't miss tipping, but I miss the service that comes with tipping 100%. And so I don't know. Maybe it was just this place. I don't go out to eat a ton. And I'm not saying every place, everywhere has bad service. Actually, one of the pizza places I go here in Kuopio, Blocko, they have really good service. So I don't want to make it seem like it's everybody. I'm not going to say where the bad service was, but I mean, it was fucking terrible service. Like just standing around waiting to get a table. There's like 5 people behind the bar just sitting on their thumb. It's like, okay, let's get going, please. While we're on the old topic of Finland, school is back in session. University is back in session here in Finland. So the jumpsuits are back, and they are in full effect. And I thought you just had to wear them to parties. I've been seeing people wearing them all day, every day for the last week. And the different colors are interesting to me. I definitely, at this point, I think the all black ones are for sure the swaggiest. The all white ones look like Ghostbusters. I've said before, orange reminds me of like Dragon Ball Z or kind of like prison inmates. Blue reminds me of garbage men back in the States. What else do we got? What else? There's pink. Pink doesn't really remind me of anything specifically. Red reminds me of 1984. Comrades, commies. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's like China's colors or I don't know. It's not like 1984 has a actual movie or visuals, but that's just how I imagine everybody dressing. Green. I don't know about green. But yeah, those they're back in action, and people be traveling. It's like the little gangs of Finland, little university gangs. People be rolling like 10 people deep down the sidewalk, going to a park, going to a bar, going wherever. And it's a cool little tradition, I think. It's so different from anything I've said. I've talked about it before. I don't think it would fly in the States because people want to, there's the idea of the individual so much in terms of dressing and things like that. But out here it's cool. But those are some of the ideas that go along with it. What else we got? Damn, we're 30 minutes in almost. I got a few things regarding kind of psychological things I've noticed and the effects of getting negative comments. Is this past week on TikTok, I was banned for like 3 or 4 days, and I was also getting an incredible amount of negative comments on one of these clips that I posted, basically saying that it was from 2 or 3 episodes ago, saying if a girl lets me hit on the first date, I'll never date her. And I edit things in a specific way. Shit, Donald Trump has taught me one thing, and the media during Donald Trump's presidency has taught me that you can edit things and leave certain things out to get people really fucking emotional. And boy, does that work here in Finland as well. And I didn't even think it was going to be that controversial of a video, to be honest. I thought there'd be someone out there that was like, and I'm sure there was some that thought, oh, well, there are some guys that don't want me to put out on the first night. Because I've heard from multiple girls throughout life that like, yeah, sometimes I feel like if I don't kiss or I don't put out on the first date, someone won't want to date me again. Normally younger girls probably. And so I thought like, shit, I might be kind of helping somebody out. And boy, you would have thought I said we should kill all babies. The way comments I was getting about can't wait for you to leave the country, you're a shit human being, blah. Like, I mean, and I don't take that shit too personally. I view the TikTok game as like this little video game that I'm playing. And so getting any kind of comment is good. There's really, the truth is there's no such thing as bad press, really. And getting in people's heads, whether it be good or bad, is a good thing when you're trying to create this brand. Obviously, I want to get known for positive, but not everyone's going to like you no matter how positive and stuff you are. Gary Vee is one of the most positive dudes ever. And you read his comments, this dude's full of shit, this dude's fake, blah, blah, blah. Like, you can't appeal and please everyone. And if you try to make everyone happy, you for sure aren't going to make yourself happy. And that's the most important person that you need to make happy. But I just realized, like, I went out on Tuesday night last week, and this is within kind of the firestorm of all these negative comments and people saying how terrible I am and yada, yada, yada. And when I go out, as I've mentioned, people frequently come up to me out at night when they're drunk and say, hey, I know you from TikTok. I really like your stuff. It's always positive. No one ever has anything negative to say, despite people being annoyed and not liking me supposedly on the actual internet. And so even though only maybe 3, 4, 5 people will come up to me in one night, I can just tell now and see people noticing me in a way. And it's a weird feeling, to be honest, because I don't think I'm like worthy of it in a way. It's different than it makes me really wonder what like Justin Bieber and like Leonardo DiCaprio and those kind of guys experience, where literally everybody knows them everywhere they go for the most part and get like little whispers and that kind of stuff. But I found myself thinking, as people are looking at me like, oh, these people don't like me. This is because of the comments that had led up to that. And maybe they don't. Maybe I was right. But then after a certain amount of time, a couple people come up and, hey, dude, this one dude was super nice. Hey, I know you from TikTok. You got the van. You're going to go travel, right? Are you going to do content while you're doing that? I said, yep. He's like, oh, man, I can't wait for that. I'll be following, man. Keep it up, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, damn, Another girl recognized me, cute girl. Oh, you're the guy I like your stuff, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, it's not what I've made it up to be in my head. And even though I say I don't take it that seriously, I'm just being honest in the sense and talking about I noticed this little change of psychology. And so for some people that really take social media as their life and are doing it like really, really digging in, and I know maybe you'd say, well, podcast, vlog, you're on it. Isn't it your life? It's like, no, it's not. I look at it all as a game. But some people don't look at it like that. They look at it like I'm putting myself out there. And, because I'm trying to be as real as fucking possible, especially on the podcasts, on the vlog. But it's as real as possible to a certain degree. I'm not going to always share every single thing and every single thought. I got some van life vlogs coming up from last weekend or 2 weekends ago. And at a certain point, we started having a conversation that was super emotional, and I'm crying a little bit. And you're not going to see that in the vlog. I'm trying to keep it as real as possible, but when I start crying, I'm not thinking to myself, oh, I need to film myself. Although shit, some people do that too. That one's wild to me. But that's again another I don't know. I don't want to judge that. But it's just, I don't know. It's an interesting thing that I've noticed since doing some of this social media stuff. And then with this last thing, people were making videos about my video. And one guy, this dude I know here in Kuopio, who's an American guy, made a video saying, what's the actual problem with what he said? He didn't say anything wrong. And I read some of those comments on his, and people saying all these things that, oh, well, he said this, and he said that, and he said this, that weren't even true, or I haven't even said at one point. It's kind of almost true, but again, it reminds me of listening to incredibly anti-Trump people talking about Trump. Well, he said all Mexicans are racist. He declared white supremacists good people. It's no, he never said any of that. And I have to say it every fucking time. I think Trump is a fucking idiot. I think he's duped and screwed up a lot of people in the country. He's the biggest vaccine salesman of them all. It was fucking awesome when he was talking in Arkansas and said, well, I think everyone needs to get the vaccine, da 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 da. And everyone started booing him. That was fucking awesome. And so I'm not here to defend Trump or say he's a victim too or whatever. I'm just saying, and I'm not saying I'm a victim either, but it was just a comparison. It's weird how you have to classify all these things. It's just, but then again, comparing to Trump is he lives rent-free in so many people's heads that despise him. And I feel bad for those people who have something in their mind that's associated with negativity constantly, because that's not healthy at all. And I've realized that there's a couple people throughout all of this TikTok stuff that I have that same effect on. There's this one dude who comments on all my semi-controversial stuff, or will make a video about my videos, telling me how dumb I am and comes off super pretentious and condescending and yada yada. And I forget what I had. I had the video talking about subculture. It'll be cool, the subculture that comes up with all the vaccine segregation. And someone commented like, oh, don't tell me you're anti-vax. And he responded to that person. He doesn't follow me either. So he's checking up on me. He doesn't follow me, but he's following me. And he goes, yeah, you should read his Twitter. And I said, huh? Like, this dude's reading my Twitter. Like, in order to get from TikTok to Twitter, you have to literally search. There's no like connections that happen because of that. And then you're reading it enough and searching it enough to know what I'm constantly saying. And I just thought, oh my God, like, that's crazy. But at the same time, I'm in a way like proud and happy about it, to keep it real, because the thought's there, whether it's good or, and then that thought, that's the same thing with like Trump in the 2016 election is, all these media outlets constantly were covering him, trying to shame him. You end up just giving him free publicity. And that's the same thing with people who try and like smear or talk shit about that one video I had. All they're doing is help spread the message. Yeah, you might get some more people to not like it, but now those people know about me. And then for every one person that doesn't like it, there might be another person that does like it and does agree. And so you're just really helping the machine. And then there's also that weird component of using somebody else's comment. Because if anyone's really posting for the most part, it's to gain likes and views and get some kind of social media currency. And so you're using something you disagree with in order to do it. I don't know. It's a weird backwards thing to me. But as I've kind of talked shit about it, I still think social media is a great thing, a great tool to be used. I will be meeting with this dude next week, a week from today, who came into one of my TikTok lives, who's a British circus performer here in Finland. And he said, hey man, if you need any help with the van build, I've done 3 or 4 trailers before. I'll be in town for a couple days. Would love to help out during the day if you have time. And so I think I might have him on the podcast too, because a circus performer sounds really interesting to talk to. And so, it can be used in such a beautiful and a connecting way, or it can be used in a really negative and tearing people down way. It's just, a hammer can build a house and a hammer can murder somebody. It just depends how you use it. Woo. I'm going to take the beanie off. It's getting a little hot in here. I normally don't wear the sweatshirt, but yeah. So I know I constantly say, okay, I'm going to stop talking about COVID. I'm going to stop talking about these things. And I really would like to, but there's just so much constant madness with it. And I feel that because of how the media covers it for the most part, where there's like no common sense, it's a tough thing for some people. And I know some of the listeners out there and some people who maybe randomly stumble upon this think similarly. And I'm not saying I'm right, but it's just nice to know that, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not the only person that thinks this way. And so like, I gotta, I want to keep talking about it just for my own sanity. And then also kind of hoping and thinking someone else out there who thinks the same thing, but doesn't have anyone close to them to talk about it with, that this kind of is like a little conversation in itself. And like right now here, it's so hypocritical. Like right now in Kuopio, the bars have to stop serving alcohol at 12. They close at 1. Normally it's like 4 and 5 or 3 and 4 is the cutoff. But none of the staff has to wear masks. I'm sure there's maybe a less, you can't have as many people in the place. Still pretty packed in there. And so I just don't get what, it's like the people in charge just make up the rules, and the people who are putting the rules in place or enforcing the rules don't even really believe in them themselves, but they just have to follow the protocol. And that's what gets scary to me. It gets really scary. And with the constant thing of, okay, 2 more weeks and then you can do this, and then no masks, but now you need a mask and a variant, and now we got to get a 3rd booster shot, and this and that, is it ultimately, I think, is an attempt to make people lose hope. And I've said before, I said last week, ironically, that when someone loses hope, that's the most dangerous thing in the world, because people just give up. And as I said that last week, I came across a study, I think it was on Twitter or something. It's an old study from like the 1950s. This guy, Kurt Richter, was a Johns Hopkins University professor, something like that. And he did an experiment regarding hope using rats. And how the experiment went is he put rats in a bucket of water and let them swim and see how long it took for them to drown. It's a little bit cruel, I know. Sorry, PETA. But what he noticed was, most rats would last 2, 3, 4 minutes, some up to 15 minutes the first time they get put in before they drown. And so he kind of collected that data. And then the second round, what he did was, after knowing, okay, they drown at about this time, he could see the signs of them giving up. And so what he'd do is, right as they were about to give up, he'd take them out of the water, hold them, let them recover for a few minutes, and then he'd put them back into the water. And that second time, you would think now they're super tired, they were just about to drown after 15 minutes. You'd think the next time they're only going to be able to last half that, because they've spent all their energy, right? Well, wrong. The next time they get put into the water, they would last for hours swimming, because in their mind, they thought that eventually hope was coming, help was coming. So they had hope. And I just thought that was really, really an interesting experiment, and I wanted to share it. Because, shoot, I know for myself, and I think that's a big thing I've realized throughout my life, is, I haven't had any too catastrophic things happening or anything like that. But even in the bad times, I always had hope. I always believed, like, yeah, things are going to get better. And hope in a way is just belief. So, with everything happening right now with COVID and lockdowns and all these things going on all over the world, I think it's a real test of hope for a lot of people. Someone who loses their business and maybe a family member dies and this and that. And they start thinking, man, what's the point? And okay, I'll just do what they say. And so for people in this experiment of comparing it with the rats, is it's not necessarily that they'll die because of lack of hope. I mean, some will for sure. But it's that they'll just give up on trying, and then they'll just do whatever they're told. They'll give up on any attempt to make it on their own, and then they just become dependent. And that's scary. And I see that happening, unfortunately. You see that with people before this stuff happened, who are just getting by one day at a time, living for the weekend, whatever it may be. And I don't know. I don't have a solution for it. I wish I had something inspiring to say. I really don't. But I hope if you're listening, you're keeping hope and doing whatever you need to do to stay hopeful and stay believing that you can really do whatever you want to do. You can do whatever you believe you can do. I hope you believe that. And then, on the COVID stuff, I got a few little notes here. There's weird stuff going. The podcast godfather himself, Joe Rogan, got COVID this last week. And, people were so happy about it because he's been critical of the vaccine, saying he's not going to get it and saying he doesn't think everybody needs to get it. And so people are just ha-ha-ing all the COVID bros. He got it. And then after 3-4 days of using multiple Regeneron, ivermectin, vitamins, he used a whole concoction of things. And then people saying, oh, well, if he didn't think it was that serious, why is he using all those things? It's like, people are fucking retarded if that's your response. Like, well, no, you can be careful. He has the resources to do it. But then it's been funny to see just how the media has covered it. And first, he puts out a video on Instagram talking about, I have COVID, yada, yada, yada. Didn't, giving the whole backstory. And in the video, you see, he doesn't look great. But then here is the video that they put out in the news, which is doctored and makes him look way more gray, white, pale, way more sick. And it's just like, it's funny in a way. And I heard about it from Ant at practice. He was like, you see Rogan got COVID? Man, he looks like shit, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, for real? And so then I went and searched at home about it and then saw these things. I'm like, damn. And then he used ivermectin, which there's been countless studies throughout this time. Doctors all over the world in different places are recommending it or saying it has use. But the FDA and the U.S. government are totally smearing it because, well, if there is alternate and adequate treatments for COVID, the way that the FDA emergency use thing happens for the vaccine is it's not allowed. You can't run through an emergency use authorization if there's other adequate alternatives. So they smear this and that. You read anything on the internet and says, oh, the horse and sheep dewormer, he's taking that. And it's like, yes, there is one for animals. There's also a human one, a human version as well. Ivermectin literally won the Nobel Prize of Physiology and Medicine in 2015. And it's just like, it's crazy. But it's so interesting to see how easily manipulated people are in regards to that and don't do any other thinking. And it's like, then he beats it in 3 days. And on the internet, which isn't a great place to think there are real people, there's like people mad about it because he's going against the narrative. It's like, if you're mad that someone survived because they didn't use the way that you're supposed to, like, you're a fucking bad person, dude. There's just so many weird things, you know, that I said it before, that the vaccine passport thing is an interesting idea in the United States specifically, because the highest demographic of vaccine hesitancies is black people and minorities. But again, black people, Tuskegee experiments, there's been a lot of stuff throughout history where just trusting the government on experimental drugs hasn't really worked out. And so I just found this little stat interesting, that 28% of black New Yorkers are vaccinated, which means that 72% aren't. And then they can't then get into places. But that's not racist, and that's not affecting anything, you know, that has no racial undertones at all. But then in the U.S., they've said, you know, if the government photo IDs and requiring photo ID to vote is racist, because, I mean, it's always white liberals that are saying how black people can't get and afford IDs, like they're like unable to, when, I mean, that's a topic for another thing, but just to stay on the topic, is then, according to my research, was 75% of black Americans have government issued photo ID. And so it's a big deal, and it's super, super racist because 25% don't. And that's the largest amount that don't have photo ID, demographically speaking, in the U.S. So the stats are essentially flipped, give or take a few percent points. But so the fact that 75% have ID, and 25% don't, it's really racist to require voter ID. But the fact that 72% aren't vaccinated and can't get into places isn't racist at all. It's like this weird little like loophole, you know? Be curious to hear what anybody has to think about that. I'm curious to hear what anyone thinks about anything I talk about. So send me a message, man. Comment. Again, I stop asking because I feel stupid for asking half the time, but I would be very curious to hear what people think about some of this stuff. You know, a few other things quick while we're on statistics is CDC just came out and recorded that there were 1,300 cases of the flu from September 2020 to January 2021. The year before, there was 130,000. So that just shows that the masks and social distancing works really, really well, and that the flu essentially disappeared. There's no other explanation. I was talking to my boy, Colin, this past weekend, and he lives in LA producing music. Check out Minus Two's new album, Late Summer Dreams. It's pretty dope, pretty vibey. But he was saying he went to some event, I forget what for, at like a bar or something, at an event space, pulls up, and the guy says, "Hey, I need ID and vaccination proof of vaccination." And he was like, "Well, see you later, bro." He's like, I haven't had that happen yet. And it was crazy to hear that happen. You know, it's funny to me, this vaccine passport stuff. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'll put it this way. Money can get you anything. And in the world we live in, and especially, there's no statewide, nationwide, global-wide database of these vaccine passports being given out. So what I'm saying is, making a fake card or then paying a doctor or something who's down to get the QR code is going to happen. Like, this shit is all just a joke. It's a hoax. Not COVID. COVID is real. It's a thing, but the things that are surrounding it. Like, they're trying to scare people with the big penalties right now of using a fake card or yada, yada. But there's going to be, it's a scare tactic. There's going to be no way to really find out. Because it's, like I said, there's no databases. I could get my card here in Finland and while I'm traveling and show it in Lisbon, and those stupid motherfuckers aren't going to know what the Finnish one looks like, like it's weird. And then the weirdest, scariest thing right now, I've been talking about Australia. Australia is a science experiment going wrong, a social science experiment. They just required people to download this app in Southern Australia that you can get a message from the government, and within 15 minutes you have to take a selfie of you and like your surroundings to prove that you are at home or where you're supposed to be. Black Mirror is not sci-fi, you guys. Black Mirror is a futuristic documentary. Also in Australia right now, they're trying to de-anonymize the internet and introducing a social credit system to combat online abuse. Police will have access to people's social media accounts and be able to check up things, read things. It's like China, they're competing with China right now for authoritarianism. I don't know. And then speaking of China, Taliban just came out this last week and said that China is their most valuable and most important partner right now. So probably didn't hear about that because, college football's back and that's cool. But I don't know. There's some weird stuff that's going to go on in the next 50 years. I can tell you that. I'll be in a van down by the river, growing my own stuff. Again, I went camping this weekend just here in Kuopio. We just had one day. Didn't want to drive super far for only one night. And Kuopio has some really good spots. It's funny, there's a pretty compact city center here. But then as soon as you get outside the city center, like we're in gravel roads by the lake, build a campfire. And man, those stories and talks around a campfire are cool and they're special. And we need more of them. I implore you to go out, build a fire. Go sit around a fire one night. Put the phone down, you can take a little story here and there, do that, but just talk. It's huge. And I've always been pretty questioning about everything growing up. As long as I can remember, always used to do the total asking my mom, well, why? Because I said so. Well, why? Because, I was that kid for sure. Well, why? And I'm grateful for that. But like right now with everything that's going on, whether it be COVID, whether it be, the censorship stuff, whether it be all these things that are coming to light, it just makes me question even more, especially, on the COVID note, is with science essentially becoming this weird pseudo-religion that's also censored and can also be bought and can be manipulated by the powers that be. It just makes me really question everything we've been told and things that are just accepted as concrete facts by a majority of the population. And I'm not saying I'm a flat earther. I'm not saying I don't think dinosaurs are real. I'm not saying any of those things. Those are a couple of the things that when I was living in Florida with my guy Bert, we used to always talk about stuff like that. The moon landing's a little bit weird. Definitely a little bit weird, the fact that we got there in the 60s and then haven't been back since, and somehow all of the technology got deleted and we haven't been able to come up with the technology since then. But in the 60s, you needed a computer as big as this room in order to do the same kind of thing that this phone can do. That one doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Also, I guess Biden supposedly is ordering the declassification of the 9/11 files and trying to find a link with Saudi Arabia, which, again, 9/11 has never made sense. But anyway, all these things, all these quote-unquote conspiracies that a majority of the world has just accepted as fact, despite there being some possibilities and some evidence that would say otherwise. Right now especially, it makes me think about what's really going on. And in a way, it doesn't matter. Because whether the Earth's flat or the Earth's round, does it really matter? Whether there were dinosaurs or not? Whether we went to the moon or not? There is some very interesting flat Earth thing, and one of the things that I kind of can get behind it with, I wouldn't say I'm fully there, but the main idea behind it is that we're here for a reason. It's not just this random Big Bang ball floating in the middle of nowhere, and it's that we're here for a reason. And I like that idea personally. I'm not religious, but I believe I'm here. I'm not just here to wander around and and die. I think there's a bigger reason. And so that's I know Bert will say you missed all the points. And there are some good points. Look into Antarctica. That's one of the weirdest ones. But it's just interesting to me because right now, it would be the hardest time ever to lie about some of this stuff. In a way, it's almost easier, though, because the amount of, attention people can get. But I guess then if you censor things, it makes it easier in a way. But just thinking about in the past, 50 years ago, if you wanted to really tell a lie of epic proportions, you just needed the people in charge to do that. Because at one point everybody believed the Earth was flat. I don't know how long it took for that stuff to happen and it make the change. Probably generations. But at a certain point it made the change, but it was probably a lot easier then because you just had to get rid of some books. You just had, you had to, now, you can search anything on this shit unless it's been censored. So, yeah. I don't really have too much else to go on that. I might start talking a little bit more about some of that stuff. It's kind of interesting. Again, I don't want to deep dive into it too much because there's not a huge point, a huge benefit. It's just fun to think about for me. I don't know. Maybe it's not fun for other people, but just thinking about other possibilities is kind of interesting to me. The one thing I did think about this weekend while camping, I realized that taking a shit is a luxury event. And what I mean by that is when I'm at home throughout a normal day, I'm pretty regular. I go and visit the throne a couple times a day whenever I feel I need to. When I'm out camping, or when I was in Nepal for a month and we would just have a hole to shit in, basically, I was a once a dayer or maybe a once a weekender. Went camping and it's like my body knows, hey dude, we ain't doing this for fun. This is for real. So unless we really got it to go, we're going to hold that up. So yeah, take that for what you want. That's all I got for y'all today. I think that's a funny place to end. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Until next time, peace and much love. Have a wonderful week. Holla.
Tell me, baby.
Yeah.
What's that story? I've been thinking about you lately.
Yeah, come on.
Tell me, darling.
What else?
You're a star girl.
What else?
How the fuck do you not know the deal?
What else?
I've been thinking about you lately. And
What
it's
else?
got me going crazy.
What else?
I'm playing for you, baby.
What else?
Listen up. Listen up, got me thinking about you, baby. And it's happening all the time. So I'm playing for you, darling. Now listen up, listen up.
Listen up.